All right, it's time. It's time. We're back. Are you guys ready for this? For the
Woo!
6th episode. We've done 6 of these now.
It's crazy.
It's half a year.
That is half a year. But yes,
so proud of us.
Yeah, a round of applause, honestly. But we're back again for the 6th iteration of Video Game Book Club, also known as Seriously Casual, where myself, Danny, Colin, Super, Chris, Holden, and Darth join together to discuss a video game that's a randomly chosen wheel pick of selections we've cobbled together. And this time, finally, was my turn. And we got my game, Castlevania Dracula X, for the Super Nintendo, which, I haven't played Dracula X since I think I bought it on like the Wii U or the Wii like virtual console, because I had played it back when I like emulated it, and I was like, it was actually my first Castlevania game. Yeah,
Interesting.
but it was released here in the United States September 1995. And actually, Dracula X, Super, I know you've mentioned this, but it's another version of a different game called Castlevania Rondo of Blood that was for...
It's abridged.
Yeah, it was for the PC Engine, also known as the TurboGrafx. So it actually, Rondo of Blood did not see a US release until October 2007 on the PlayStation Professional.
I have a question.
Yes.
Just in the context of your background spiel here, which I love.
Thank you.
Do you know if there are substantial differences between Rondo of Blood on the PC
Extraordinary.
Engine?
So
Extraordinary.
yes, the differences are actually Rondo of Blood had saves, whereas this has passwords, and it had another playable character.
It was. I mean, a lot of levels are pretty radically different as well.
Yeah, and this version, it did have the split levels, like the alternate path levels, but Rondo of Blood actually had more levels.
Yes, it did.
Also, something interesting is, I didn't realize, but this game is the direct, like, prequel to Symphony of the Night.
Yep. It begins immediately after.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, like the whole...
I don't know how I didn't piece that together.
The intro scene and the way Richter looks, like, it's like, oh, yeah. But me talking about how this was my first Castlevania, I'm curious, what was everybody else's first Castlevania?
The first one, the original.
Yep, same for me.
Yeah, that's my only experience with Castlevania, has been Castlevania 1 all the way through. I have dabbled in like Super for Super Nintendo, but only for a couple levels.
It's kind of embarrassing, but mine was one of the PS2 ones.
Okay,
Like a lid.
nothing wrong with that.
I played one on the N64 when I was a kid.
Man.
I don't know which one it was. I played it for not very long and was like, this is whack.
Yeah, well, there's Castlevania 64, and I think Castlevania 64 2. I think
It's
there's
called
2
like
of them.
Curse of Darkness or something.
Yeah,
like that.
it's got a really
right.
dumb name.
Yeah. You can
Yeah,
play
so-
as a wolf. Spoilers.
But I think my official answer is either Super Castlevania 4, which is a banger, or Symphony of the Night.
Well, it's good that you brought up Super Castlevania 4. How much before, like how earlier do you guys think Super Castlevania 4 came out than this game? This game came out in 1995.
Super Castlevania 4 was a launch title, right?
Yeah.
91.
Yeah, it came out
92.
in 91.
Dang.
Yep.
These games are 4 years apart.
You can tell too. You can tell that the Dracula X is newer.
You think so?
Yes.
You think so?
I will say
I'm
Super
saying
Castlevania
visually.
lags way more.
Visually speaking, there were things on the Super Nintendo that were not yet implemented in games. You know, as the system ages, the power gets unlocked more and more. So I think that was the case with this and Super Castlevania 4.
From what I know of 4, I'm picturing a lot more Mode 7 in 4.
Yeah, so that's one of the things, like, so maybe, I don't know if I should say, this game did not review well because
Shocker.
people compared it to, hey.
Jeez.
People compared it to both Super Castlevania 4, which came out 4 years earlier, and Rondo, which was technically a better version of this game. So it got clapped a lot. People were saying like the visuals, like there was no Mode 7, or there was very little Mode 7. Whereas Super Castlevania 4 had this fucking spinning, like the spinning room that made people sick, which is tight.
There's a couple bosses that were utilized
Yeah.
Mode 7 as well.
Yeah,
That's
so-
cool, though.
Yeah, exactly. So this
I
game
think, though,
not having it.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead.
I think that these reviews, though, like criticizing Dracula X for not using Mode 7, I think that was a product of the time because it's like how they used to rate 2D games lower in the PlayStation and 64 era just because they weren't 3D.
Yep.
Like, just because there's no Mode 7 doesn't mean it's bad. Like, Super Castlevania 4 had a lot of Mode 7 because they were showing off new technology at the time.
Yeah, you always notice that with reviews from the day. It's they value technology a lot because it was
Right.
advancing so fast.
Right, exactly. It was a brave new world.
Yeah, and it's completely irrelevant when you go back nowadays. It's yeah, it's kind of funny.
Yeah.
And anybody like to kick us off in their opening thoughts, like their general thoughts of the game?
I'll go. I'll go. Oh, wait, Colin.
I was,
Go for it. You wanted to go first? Go right ahead.
I recanted that I want to go last.
I was gonna
Okay.
say Danny should because it was his pick. I think that's
Yeah.
a good
Okay.
pick.
Okay.
Go for it.
As a little spoiler, I have an incredibly strong opinion about this game.
Okay. We'll save the best for last. I like that. But
Right.
to kick us off, this game is very video game. It's very, like, my first thought is that this game feels more classic Castlevania, like Castlevania NES, Simon's Quest, because it just feels like that. You get hit, you go back in that like arc, like the way you move, like it feels way more classic than somehow Super Castlevania does and
Yeah.
Bloodlines. Like
Yes.
it's weird. Like even though it's like kind of shiny and newer, it feels older. Which, in a way that's kind of charming, but in a way it got away from that for a reason. So it was a little bit clunky to play. And getting through that, I think this is gonna jump into like art and music. I think this game absolutely put its best foot forward right off the bat, or to put it detrimentally, I think this game blew its load on that first stage, because you start and the song that's playing like is just bumping, the fires in the background, like that guitar, the dinner, and you're like, okay, yeah, and you got the visual effect in the back, and it kind of just falls off really hard right after that, and it was okay, not great, not good, but it never got in the way of itself.
I'll go next if you're done.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I will say this first. I had played this before and I had beaten it before previously. I'm a bit biased because I am a huge fan of this franchise. It's just the theme and the aesthetic and the music, everything about it like appeals to me very, very much. But that being said, this game, it's probably, not counting Simon's Quest because it's not traditional level based like the other classic Castlevanias, this is probably my least favorite classic Castlevania game. And it's for some of the reasons that Danny already said, like the clunkiness. It basically controls almost exactly like the original Castlevania. It's very, very similar. It has a few extra things like the double tap jump backflip, which is really cool, by the way. You literally have to use it to avoid a lot of crazy attacks. But I feel like the first part of this game's fun. It's not too difficult. It's manageable. and through the whole way you're experiencing great fucking music. I mean, just top-notch music. This game's soundtrack it's top-notch. Like I think unless it's just not your type of music, like you subjectively don't like this kind of music, I think it's safe to say the soundtrack is amazing. Anyways, there's certain parts later in the game that feel just so unbelievably unfair. There's some enemy placements that it's almost like Faxanadu with the ladder in the tree. There's some spots where at the top of the stairs, there's the purple knights throwing their fucking spears, and unless you move properly and get them to back off, you're fucked. Like, you're just gonna take a bunch of damage, or you're gonna get hit and fly back and go down the whole room and have to climb all the way back up. And I also think the last boss fight in this game is possibly one of the worst boss fights I've ever played in any video game. And I'm not exaggerating either. Whoever decided to A, put the fight on little platforms, and B, make Dracula take basically no fucking damage, whoever decided those two things should be immediately fired. I know this game came out a long time ago, but still.
Dude, somebody get the time machine, get rid of them.
It's atrocious. Like, there's no other way to put it in, the way I see it. It's inexcusable almost. But I understand, like we say with pretty much every episode, it's a product of its time. And back then, that kind of thing that's just the way it was with a lot of games. And this is one of those games where you do tons of runs and you learn the game as you fail over and over. But a lot of people these days aren't used to those kinds of games, which is totally understandable. I get it. But yeah, like I said, I'm very biased, and even though I think this is the worst classic Castlevania, I still enjoyed the hell out of it. Even though that last boss fight was, like I said, one of the worst things I've ever experienced.
I just want to add to you talking about the later stages. I literally have something in my notes that says level 6 and 7 were designed by someone who wanted the opposite of fun.
Yeah,
and I wrote bats on the stairs with the dragon heads on landings, purple knights on the gears and rising platforms, and the room before Dracula. Literally, the last room that you can play is so fucking obnoxious because you're on that moving platform that you have to jump to another moving platform while there's Medusa heads and a knight in your way on the platform.
You get the invis.
And if you get hit, you have to go back through the shaft, the platforms where you're probably gonna get hit more.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
I echo that sentiment.
Yeah, those are all the areas I had issues with.
Yeah, so my summary is, even though there's some severe, inexcusable issues, I still enjoyed it because I'm a huge Castlevania fan.
I have one flavor comment just to make, since we were talking about the level 6. I called it the clock tower. I don't know what it's actually supposed to be. There was a moment in the clock tower I had to close my eyes and make a force of will commitment to beat this game. It was like one too many little bullshit moments, and I was like,
yeah.
Deep breath.
We are doing this. Anyway.
Yeah, that also happened to me multiple times throughout my playthrough. And also, Danny didn't mention this, but this game has multiple endings.
Yeah, I wanted to save that for everybody's thoughts because I wanted to see if anybody else.
No, sure, that's fine. All right, whoever wants to go next.
You're gonna love it.
Yeah. All right, whoever wants to go next, go for it.
I would like to go next. So my context, all that I know of Castlevania is just that first game. So I was really hoping that I didn't realize, because I was apparently not paying attention, that we only had a very short time to beat this game. So I think ideally I wanted to have finished a bunch of the previous games. I wanted to play 3, 4, and Rondo of Blood, just to have the context for this game a bit better. But I think it's interesting hearing you guys say that you thought it was super clunky and it felt like Castlevania 1, because to me, the best thing about this game was the controls and the way it moved. It felt like similar to the first game, but you had a bit more freedom and you could jump on stairs and stuff like that. So I think that's a strength of this game.
Right.
But I think the biggest strength of Castlevania, the first game. It's like that game I think is masterfully designed. It feels like everything in that game is super deliberate. The enemy placement and everything. It's just a very well crafted game from start to finish. I think this one is absolutely not. It's like it's okay at best, I think. I agree that the music is incredible, the visuals are incredible. I also agree that there's some of the most abysmal bullshit in any game in this game. Like stage 5 in particular, in the underground, or not the one, I guess I'm not sure if it's stage 5 for every path, but that one was, I wanted to die. And then Dracula as well, I wanted to die. And I spent hours on Dracula. And I finally beat it, but it's, probably one of the worst boss fights I've ever played. It's truly terrible.
Agreed. One thing I will say, you mentioned that you found the controls to be a strength. A lot of people agree with you. There, like a lot of diehard Castlevania fans actually prefer this old style of controls, and their reasoning is that you have to think about every jump and commit to every jump. You can't just like hop around like in Symphony of the Night, for example.
Oh, you're
like that's
backdashing, you're flipping.
Yeah, you have to be purposeful with every move you
Right,
make.
and
that's the reasoning that people use, and I totally get it. And I to an extent agree.
Yeah, because that's kind of exactly what the first game is. That's all about that jump commitment, right? So
Yeah.
I think it feels right to have it in a Castlevania game for me. So while I usually prefer to have played every game in a series, I think it's kind of interesting to come at this one as a sequel to the first game. Though I am very curious now to see Rondo of Blood more than ever.
Mm-hmm.
Just to see how it compares. But
I highly recommend that you play Rondo of Blood.
Yeah.
yes, absolutely.
Next.
Holden, Darth.
I'd be happy to go. So my experience with this game, well, first off, I should say the only classic Castlevania I've played other than this now was Super Castlevania a couple years ago. So it's relatively fresh. That playthrough and is a pretty good comparison compared to like Symphony of the Night or something. Yeah, it's kind of funny because I was thinking about the controls. I literally just booted it up to like really feel the logic of it because it's very difficult to explain. But yeah, you're locked into your jump, and there's like some like nuances depending on whether you do your back input according to the jump timing. But anyway, my experience with the game was like really easy going for the most part. It's kind of funny, like I really enjoyed the fact that the first split level I kept dying to the boss, and then I was like kind of getting sloppy, and then I fell down the pit, and then I was like pissed, and then I realized I was in a new level, and I was like, well, this is cool, and it like gave me a second win to keep going that seeding with the game, that sit down.
That's cool.
So like stuff like that was really cool and pretty fresh for me because I haven't experienced that in a game to my memory. And yeah, I beat the game in 2 sit-ins, which is kind of a testament to it not really burning me out, which is kind of crazy because yeah, the last 2 levels are pretty not the best tuned. And I'd say also like the little history rundown you guys gave just now, mostly Donnie, is really interesting because I was seeing a really big lack of cohesion the whole game. Kind of in design, but also in the art. Like, the first level being really beautiful, and some of these levels, like the one on screen right now, looks so good, but every once in a while you get to a screen, and I'd think to myself, this doesn't look like the same level of quality.
Yeah, they kind of phoned it in for that particular background. You're like, ooh.
Yeah, and they're kind of few and far between, and I think they did a good job overall, but learning the reason why now, that it's kind of like not as good port, for lack of better words, is like, it makes a lot of sense now, right? So
Mhm.
I get that impression. It reminds me a bit of like an arcade, a home version of an arcade port. You know,
yeah,
it's like lower quality version. I don't actually know how Rondo of Blood looks in comparison. Like it's a CD game, so it sounds better. I don't know if it looks better though. So I
Yeah,
wonder
so
if the
it
assets
looks-
are like direct.
It's similar. It's very similar.
Mhm.
yeah. So I didn't know the context at all, and I was like, wow, there's like really cool design elements and ideas, and I'm engaged. I think the biggest reason why I didn't like give up on the earlier side was just it's pretty forgiving, being able to restart the level indefinitely.
Mhm.
Right. Yeah, there are unlimited continues. That is definitely.
Yeah,
If there
so
weren't, then this game would just be a complete fucking. Just burn it, throw it in the garbage.
exactly. So that made it really approachable, and yeah, it was a really mixed bag for me all around. That's my initial
Damn,
thoughts for the
you're
most
a
part.
gamer, Holden. I admire that. I respect that.
Thanks, man. I think
I
you
wish
guys
he
are
was a
all
gamer.
power gamers too.
Plus 30
easygoing
gamer
is
grid.
not how I would describe this game.
Yeah, when you said pretty easygoing, I was like, damn.
Dude,
Guys,
I don't know, Contra was the crazy one, dude.
I would agree that like a good chunk of this game is easygoing. There's some massive difficulty spikes.
Yeah, there's a
It's so
switch that flips
excruciating.
that goes from easygoing to why are they doing this to me?
Yeah, absolutely.
Also, I should say like easygoing when you have a strategy, because there'd be staircases where you're like, I just need to back up and then jump and hit the bat from behind, and
Oh, I will say one thing,
Kinda
just throwing in real
Sigmas.
quick. Just real quick. Fuck the birds.
Yeah, fuck the birds.
Any flying enemy in this game, just
That's
Birds are
classic
just
Castlevania.
Medusas with even worse hitboxes.
Those are the bats. The birds are the
The
ones that
bats,
like
excuse
fly in
me.
weird patterns and like
Yeah. And they'll wait
yeah.
for
they,
you.
They come at you in angles where you literally just can't hit them. Like you have to jump and attack and
Darf.
Yeah, so my experience with this game sounds like it was similar to a lot of other people's. It started out like really strong. I was really impressed with the music starting off. Like it reminded me a lot of like whenever you first jump into like Contra, and it just like hits you with this dope bass line, and you know it's like moving along. It's a good time. You know the sound, it feels really good to like hit something for the most part. And so I was actually surprised too. I was like, I might get through this game without cheating. And then I got to the last 2 levels and I started to cheat because I was not having any fun anymore. I was like,
do not blame you.
I was having like so much fun with the game. I was like, this might actually be like one of these games I like, I rate really highly because I played the first one, and I thought it was okay, and I was kind of like, man, whatever. The only other one I ever played was Arev Sorrow, and then I also played this game. And yeah, I got to those last few levels, and I just found that there were a lot of like game, like sort of design elements and placements with enemies that kind of often made me feel more like I was getting lucky than like actually like, you know, like I would have like strategies, but I would often find I was like, well, I kind of got lucky that, you know, the Medusa head didn't spawn there, or that it spawned at that height in that situation. And I found myself spending a lot of time in the runbacks, just like sitting there, throwing my whip out, waiting for the enemy to get close enough to like walk into it. And all these things kind of culminated to make it start to get really irritating to run through the levels rather than it being this like sort of like fun, weighty, sort of like you're saying, like commitment filled experience. And so it was really good, and then it was really bad. That's my experience.
Yeah, I agree.
And honestly, I think I'm gonna need to like talk to you guys until I can figure out where, like, how that actually mixes to like make like my overall like warmth level. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Sure.
Like, because
Yeah.
Well,
I
one
don't
side's
know.
gonna overpower the other.
Yeah, I think so, and I know what I'm leaning towards right now. But as always, I always like don't know stuff, and then I'm like, okay, if I'd known this or if I'd done this, then I'd have made my life easier. But I kind of doubt that it's gonna happen. But that's
So,
it.
Colin.
All right,
what-
Colin.
oh yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
no, it's fine.
We've been waiting for
I was
this
just
take.
gonna, I was gonna mention a few things, but I'll wait till after you said what you
Please,
said.
please, you can go ahead.
No. I think it'll be better if I wait.
Okay, I'll keep this short. I had just a few highlights from like my brain, just like the stream of consciousness as I was playing. So number one is that this is easily the worst game we've played and my least favorite. By far.
Did you know we
Dang,
played
dude.
Croc though?
Oh man.
Dude, Croc is a masterpiece compared to this game.
Yeah.
And I'm not even like, this is not joking. Croc is a name. No, Croc sucks. This game is bad. Okay, number two. If Chris called Faxanadu a joyless piece of shit, dude, you know I've been waiting for like a week and a half to just dump on this godforsaken game. He said it's a joyless piece of shit. I wrote that this is a joyless, uninspired, insipid, frustrating, soulless piece of shit.
Oh my god.
Dang.
And
Couldn't-
third, and Danny, but I'm really sorry.
Oh no,
I
that's
tried
why I
to
picked
like
it.
this game. Okay, good. Okay, good. I tried to like this game, but anyway, the third point in summary is that throughout my whole playthrough, I was somewhere between bored and just mad and irritated. Not to get
Same.
into too much of the mechanics, but like, and this probably did color my experience, but my first Castlevania game, either being Symphony of Night or Super Castlevania 4, either way, both control and play much more smoothly. And I know that there's certainly a purist perspective from Castlevania, like the older ones. You guys are talking about having a like more committal, more intentional movement, but I felt like even before the last two levels, I feel like just throughout most of the game, there was just random bullshit. And it's like, sure, if something is laggy, that means I have to think about it. But if I can't react to what's happening until I have already done my input and then an enemy shows up and I just, that's older game design for sure. It's like Ninja Gaiden 1. You jump and then a bird appears, like, oh, that sucks. But, I just feel like, at least in Ninja Gaiden 1, you could steer in the air, for example.
Man, moving around and attacking Ninja Gaiden 1 is one of the best feelings in all of video games.
Exactly. And this is one of the worst. It's just, I just felt character mechanics, movement wise, I felt like under equipped to deal with almost every situation that I came to, and just had to like jank my way through. Final boss, I totally agree. I'm gonna say it's the worst worst boss fight I've ever played.
It's definitely pretty terrible.
Damn.
Like you joke about the final boss of Mega Man X3. I won't go into spoilers because I don't think Chris has played it. But
Yeah.
wait, no,
Okay.
is that the
Yeah.
one you played?
Yeah, I beat X3.
Okay.
I can't
But
remember
he's got
it
the
though. I have
teeny
a
tiny
brain.
little hitbox in his face, right? Is that the right boss I'm thinking of?
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I feel like somehow this is worse. And
It
he
is.
teleports. And he has death pits throughout
I was about to
thing.
say
And
the
then he
instant
has-
death pits don't help.
And he
Yeah, and
laughs
then
at
he
you.
has fucking phase 2, right? Like, dude, it's not that phase 2 is complicated or anything. It's actually, they're both pretty simple, but just like as a result of the movement and the mechanics and like the death pits, it's just so fucking frustrating.
Yes.
And the fact that he takes no damage.
Yeah. you
I
gotta hit him,
timed
like,
it.
15
It's
times.
like it took me so long, like 2 to 3 minutes on that first phase sometimes, just because
That's
we can
good.
talk about the specifics of the fight later, I guess. But
Yeah.
frustrating, yes.
Anyway, I want to let us keep going because I've made my point clear. But just one other, one or two other little brief things that I thought were funny. I was at level 3 and I said this game blows. Holy shit! I also wrote I beat this game at cost to my sanity, and I would rather play Faxanadu any day.
Yeah, I've got like an entire page of getting mad at stage 5. I've got like more notes than any other game, and it's all just good half of it. is just
It's a
bitching about 'em.
manifesto.
Yeah,
I also wrote even the credits are fucking boring.
They are.
true.
You're right.
Yep.
So anyway, I'm sorry. I apologize, Danny, for the scorching take. This was
You
one of the
know,
worst games I've ever played.
I'm going to say this. As I was playing this game, I was thinking to myself, Colin is going to fucking hate this game.
Yep.
And I was right. But so I'm just gonna say, you know how I always tell everybody, read the manual. I'm gonna own it. I did not read the manual, so I'm unsure if some of these things I'm about to mention are in it or not. But there are some little techniques that you can use to make certain situations manageable or more manageable. If you double tap the jump button, you do a huge backflip. And like this purple knight that was swinging at Danny with that huge fucking lunging attack, if you react to the animation, the startup, when he raises his spear, and that right there, if you backflip, it completely avoids it. And there's a lot of other enemies that do similar attacks, and there's certain bosses, you can avoid their attacks by doing that. You can also use it to platform too. Like you can in the, I forgot what level it is. I think it's level 5 it's level 6, where you're climbing that big old section with the stairs and the Medusa heads. There's certain platforms where you can do the backflip and skip
go
sections.
upwards. Yep.
Yeah.
I like the backflip against. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I liked it against the Bat Boss because there's platforms you can kind of jump over them. Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah, it works against pretty much every boss actually, maybe except Dracula. It doesn't work against him, but and there's another thing you can do. I'm not sure if anyone picked up on this, but if you jump and then tap forward, you do a little small forward jump.
Yeah.
And that helps also with a lot of because there's some times where
I'm sorry, you jump and tap forward?
Yes, you jump and tap forward, and you do a small forward jump instead of a big old leaping lunge.
Oh yeah, I was doing that. So the manual tells you that?
I don't know. That's why I said I didn't read the manual.
Yeah, no, that wasn't in the manual, but yeah, it's weird nuances. So did the original Castlevania have that?
No.
Okay.
No.
Yeah, I thought
in the original
that was
Castlevania, you cannot alter your jump trajectory at all. Zero.
And you can't jump on stairs.
Yeah, jumping on stairs was weird in this. When I first did it, I was like, hey, whoa.
It actually makes a lot of the parts easier, because you'll be standing directly beneath the staircase, and if you just jump straight up and hold up forward, and you just land on the stairs. There are a couple parts where you could do that.
I really feel like, though, just on the topic of the stairs, I feel like the game was like, whoa, you're doing this on the stairs and that on the stairs. I felt like the stairs friggin' suck.
Yeah, get me off of these fucking things.
Get me off. This isn't fun. This isn't it's you guys think it's interesting, to be designing a level around the stairs, but the stairs is the worst part of it.
There is a reason these stairs don't exist at all anymore in games.
I don't know, dude. It's just was dumb to me.
I think that a lot of these clunky mechanics, like Holden said, don't exist anymore. They live and die by level design. You have to design the level appropriately to accommodate these controls.
And admittedly, there's some poor stairs in this.
Yeah, the issue is with the side, the infinite amounts of enemies coming from the side of the screen. The way that they float, you can't duck and swing with your whip while you're on the stairs. You know what I mean? So that automatically makes it so much harder to get them, especially if they're in a trajectory where it's they spawn just as you were coming up the stairs, so now they're a bit below you, so now you can't hit them unless you go further up the stairs. But if you go further up the stairs, there's a spear guy waiting for you to fucking knock your ass down, and it's oh, there's also a fucking bird. It's oh my god. And so many times, you know what I had to do? This is one of my biggest problems with the game. I had to say, you know what? Okay, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna sit here for 3 minutes and bait the bird down here so I can kill it, and then safely do the next area.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's bad. That seems to me like it's bad design, especially for a game where you're meant to go through the level over and over and over again. You know what I mean?
I totally agree with you.
Was one of the huge issues I had. So many times where I was doing these these level runs, and I had to just sit there and do the safest thing that I could, and that sucked.
Yeah, it's the opposite of playing the game for fun. You're playing the game just to do the ideal, which is
by necessity, because the game's fun. You know what I mean? It's it's not even because I was thinking maybe it's because I feel like I have to beat the game, but no, I really don't think so. I think it was just I need to beat the level because that's what I'm
I feel like so many of these problems were solved by having the directional whip.
Yes, I completely agree, and I'm pretty sure the game before this one had that.
Yeah,
I don't understand.
Castlevania 4 has it.
It's literally my first note that says, why can't you whip up? And it sucks that you can't do the loosey-goosey chain flail.
Yeah, dude, that, I don't know, to me, that seems like they're stripping so much, option for both, game design and also for, player effing around by getting rid of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't really see the point of doing that, even if you're, I don't know.
I think that one, the flat whip, you can't whip multi in any direction, and all the clunky controls and all that. I think they intentionally, they didn't do it, of course the first game, it was the first game. They were still, working, building their ideas, but they brought back those clunky controls on purpose, obviously, for this game, because Castlevania 4 is way different.
Yeah.
And I think that was just part of their vision for Castlevania. It's just, everything feels dangerous, right? It's supposed to, I think that's what it's supposed to feel like. But the thing is, this game's based on Rondo of Blood. The level design in that game's totally fucking different. The levels are different. It's not just more levels and, more stuff. And the levels are different levels. And they are designed way better. What's that?
Have you fully played Rondo of Blood for the PC Engine?
I have gotten to the end. I've never been able to beat it.
Do you feel that the controls fit better in that version with the level design?
Absolutely, 100% yes. Rondo of Blood is, in my opinion, a fucking must-play if you like action platformers. I think it's one of the best games, best retro games, period. Along with Castlevania 4 and 3 and 1. I know a lot of people, I understand if you don't like the older ones, like 1 and 2 and 3. I don't like 2, but that's for a different episode. I'm sorry. I lost my train of thought. Fuck.
I'd like to add to what you're saying, or continue on what you were saying. It goes back to what you first said about the level design, the stairs, depending on level design, and also ties into what we were talking about with the controls feeling clunky, because I feel like the mechanics in this game are actually quite good. It's just the level design that sucks.
Yes.
It feels very good to play, I think.
100%.
The enemy design, the fucking night guys, the birds and everything. Doesn't feel like there's that much enemy variety, but yeah, it's just the way they move and the placement. I actually, this evening, I was struggling to kill Dracula, and I decided I'm gonna turn this game off and I'm gonna turn on my NES and play Castlevania 1. And I played through till stage 5, Death. I couldn't beat Death, but I played through majority of Castlevania 1 just to remind myself that, or try to see if I actually still loved Castlevania, because this game had dragged me down so much. But yeah, the level design in Castlevania is just so much better than this game, and it's you could call it clunkier because you have that very deliberate jump, right? But I think the level design makes it work, and this game just does not have that level design. So I am very, very interested to see Rondo, because
Rondo's
because I think this game has very good mechanics, and just everything else about it just lets it down so much.
Right. Another thing that Rondo has that this game doesn't have, well, I mean, it has passwords, but Rondo has if you boot the game up again after you're done playing, there's a menu similar to Symphony of the Night where it's start game, whatever, blah blah blah. Then there's level select, and you can pick any level that you've beaten. There's a little map or a little timeline type deal, and you can go back to any level and play it. And that difference isn't just a little neat little quality of life thing, because like I said earlier, this game has multiple endings. Okay, the part where you're jumping on the pillars and you fall, if you fall, it takes you to alternate level 4. But if you continue onward and you make it past that part, there's a candle that has a key in it, and you take that key into the next level, which is not alternate level 4. It's like a prison instead of this cave that we're looking at right now, and you have to make it through a little more than halfway of that level without dying in order to get the other ending. And if you die and you want that other ending too fucking bad, you're gonna have to turn your console off and enter a fucking password.
Yeah, and you start
that key
at
again.
3. Yep.
Don't you? What the purpose of that key was? Thank you for telling me.
Don't you need the key for the second part of the
Yes.
secret
So you
endings
need
too?
the key for I guess I'll call them stage 4 plus and 5 plus. So you can get to stage 4 plus because you get the key at the end of the top part of stage 3, and when you get the key, it's your sub weapon. So not only do you not have a sub weapon, if you die, you lose it, like Super said.
Yep.
And you have to
Yep.
get your ass back to that key and do it again. And then in stage 4 plus, you can rescue Richter's girlfriend's sister, Maria. And what I thought was nice is she does heal you when you get to her. But then you have to continue through the stage with the key and make it to another locked door to get to stage 5 plus, we'll call it. The other alternate stage 5.
That level looks
However-
really cool, by the way.
Yes, actually, that's like in my notes. But the nice part is when you get to that stage, it immediately takes the key away. So you know you don't have to restart to keep the key.
Yeah.
That being said, finding a net is really fucking annoying.
Yeah,
Yes.
you have to like smack a random fountain, like a random water spout, and then
Yeah.
it's like she's like, I was down here the whole time. It's like, how did you not drown?
Yeah, and the platforming to get there is absolutely stupid because you have to like slightly walk off and like hold back so you don't go too forward and just fall and die. I'm like, this is dumb.
No, that's
Yeah.
a super cool video game secret.
Yeah, it
I
is
like
super
it.
cool. Yeah, I wrote that I really liked that it was neat, but it was needlessly challenging.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And- Good.
I was just gonna say I really appreciate that it has multiple paths, but I tried multiple times to even get to stage, I guess, the real stage 4, but I kept getting hit by Medusa heads and falling into the pit, and I gave up because I was so
So-
frustrated with this game by that point.
I will mention that this is another little trick. If you're crouching when you get hit, you don't get thrown back.
Oh, yeah,
it's
that's
like
huge
projectile
tech.
stuff.
Only
yeah.
way to fight is fucking
Crouch against
Dracula.
him, Look at it.
Yeah, so like there are parts of the game where I like part of my strategy for parts of the level is to just get hit while crouching and then just move on. It's like taking the throne in Street Fighter 5. Like it's like, okay, I'm just gonna take a little damage and now that enemy's gone and I can just walk forward without being flung to the bottom of the room
Yeah,
or
it's,
into a pit.
it's cool to have that option. I used it in Dracula as well. Well, until I figured out how to basically cheese Dracula because I had had enough.
Did anybody else like stand like directly in front of Dracula and whip him and it just didn't hit him?
Yes.
You have
Yeah,
to hit him,
many,
like,
many
in the
times.
upper torso.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like his
It's a
chin.
very small part of him.
I
Yeah.
think it's the idea is it has to be like under the cape.
Yeah.
I popped that, and then I got to there was one moment where I tried to hit him in the same spot I'd been hitting him all fight, and it didn't work.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
had to hit him in the face after that. I was like, what? It changed?
Yeah, and his attacks have like different, like his iframe's different for his 2 different attacks.
Right, right. And
I
there's,
found-
there's nothing that telegraphs which attack he's going to do until it's too late.
Oh yeah.
So good luck.
That fight is
Yeah.
so awful.
Yeah.
Do you want to? Can we talk about like what tactic we used on that fight? In
Yeah,
I
I
wanted, to
feel like that's
mention, I wanted to mention one more thing
Sure.
about the keys. In Rondo of Blood, getting the key is like a million times easier. Like you don't have to like platform through this crazy section where if you get hit you just fall and go to a different level. Yeah, so like that whole like key part in Rondo of Blood is just like it's not like an ordeal where you're just like fuck it and you just fucking just quit and don't just say fuck the secret. But yeah, the 3 endings are the worst one is if you fall and go to the cave, which is this level we're looking at now. It locks you into the worst ending if you go to this level. The second to best ending is if you just save one person. And the best ending is if you save both. And also, the second to last boss is different depending on which ending you got. Normally, if you just get the worst ending, you fight that skull that throws its eyeballs at you. If you get the good endings, you get to fight death. But that's not really a fucking reward.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it was
So it's
funny.
the boss after.
No, it replaces the skull boss.
Yeah,
There's no
you d-
skull boss.
Because
right.
when you get to that like clock tower thing, like you see a net on top of like the weird like statue, and
Right.
it turns into the skull. But when I beat the game, or like when I was getting to Dracula, I was like, wait, where's Death? I was like, this is Castlevania. You fight Death. Where the fuck is he? And then I found out, like, I was like, oh wait, that's separate path. What's going on there? Got to that, and I was like, hey, here's Death. And while I thought it was really cool that you fought him, that fight was fucking annoying.
Yeah, yeah. The
I like-
first phase isn't too bad, but when he goes anime,
Yeah, and he's just like,
that's when
you're
it
gonna
gets
get
hard.
hit. Like he's either gonna
Yeah.
dash across the stage and hit you, or he's gonna dash down diagonally and fill up the whole stage and hit you. I was like, okay.
Yeah, and then you fall off the edge. Yeah.
I guess like before we even talk about Dracula and our strategy, what do you guys think about the boss fights? I thought they were like
They're
good.
whatever.
I thought they were good.
I like
The wolf
the-
was cool. The wolf man.
Yeah, the wolf was badass. That was the first thing that was started messing me up.
That felt
real
like
bad.
an impossible fight the first few times.
Yeah.
I felt like I
It's
just got lucky when I beat him, to be honest.
That fight to me is like a fighting game, because he does slides, he throws fireballs, he like does dive kicks, and like you have to learn how to like avoid each different.
Yeah, your
move, and you have
spacing
to
was
learn-
really important in that
Yeah,
fight.
Yeah.
exactly. And you have to learn when he's gonna do what move. Like you have to learn how to trigger the certain moves.
Is that
Like
fight-
that fight to me was like an actual like well put together fight. Like that was like good. It was good.
It's one of the few good moments in this game for me.
Mm-hmm.
I generally like the boss fights. I like the designs.
Me too. I
So-
thought the boss fights were the best part.
Except
Yeah.
for Dracula.
Yeah, except for
that's-
He actually made it so that the boss fights were the worst part.
Let's go to
So,
our
yeah, that's a-
Dracula tactics.
Yeah. Go
So
ahead,
the only
Chris.
thing I found that was reliably safe was to stand. You enter the room and then you stand on that lower pillar right on the right side. The lower, like there's like a step. They're connected. Stand on there and you take the axe and you just use the axe to damage him, and you don't move pretty much unless he comes onto your platform. And it just takes forever. It takes like 2 to 3 minutes. 2 minutes if you're lucky, and then you fall into the pit instantly in phase 2. So like I
Accurate.
couldn't. I tried multiple times. Like I switched up my tactic to try and do it the proper way by going and whipping his face around, but it's just so unsafe, and you get hit once and you're dead. It's
Yeah.
just incredibly frustrating. So
Unless you hold down.
yeah, but if you're jumping, then you're fucked.
Yeah.
So that was my tactic for about 20 hours, and then in my final attempt, I called the Konami tip line for $10 Canadian or whatever it is, and I got the tip that you can use the cross. If you just load up on crosses and you just mash the what's it called? Crash.
The crash.
Item crash. You just
Yeah.
mash it and you can just cheese him to death.
Really?
But-
You actually
yeah.
call?
Game packs, not actually
Okay.
Konami.
I was
Sorry to
like, you
break
know,
the illusion.
they might have a hotline. Who knows? Like, still, I mean, 'cause they did.
Excuse
for
me,
sure.
Kojima.
Pachinko. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a secret in that ceiling you just missed on it.
All right, I gotta replay it.
I
Yeah.
want to give brief praise here, and we can go back to Dracula, but I like the background of this level Danny's on right now. This boss arena looks cool.
It's a good
It
color
does.
palette on the rocks on the foreground.
Yeah, it's a
I
good
think
ass
most of the
cave.
game is beautiful. But yeah, anyways, Dracula Tactics.
My Dracula tactics at that point, I'll be honest, they were just safe stating because I was so over it.
Mm-hmm.
I do not blame you one bit for doing that.
Yeah, that
And
fight.
like,
the
I,
fight-
don't get me
the
wrong,
thing
I
is-
tried it organically and was like, this ain't happening. Nope.
It's basically like the fight is begging you to save state. It's like asking for it, right? It's like the way they designed it. It's like the way I see it is like you're playing a game and you want to beat it legit, right? Because obviously that's how it's meant to be beaten. And if the game doesn't respect you, why should you respect the game?
I like that. Thank
If
you
you
for
feel like the
validating me.
game doesn't respect you, and this game certainly does not respect the player.
Yeah,
in
this game
certain
flips
parts.
you the middle finger.
Yeah, if that's the case, then fuck it. You save states if you want. Don't fucking feel bad about it for a second.
I'm surprised I beat it at all because I was so done too, and that's why I basically cheated. Like my actual winning attempt probably took like 10 minutes because I was standing on the edge trying not to get hit, and all I would do is if he landed on the platform where I was standing, I would jump off, hit him in the head, and jump over his projectile and go back to just camping until phase 2, and then I just mashed that X button. It was very, very boring. It was just an extreme test of patience.
Yeah, it was pretty boring. The way I did it is I used the axe and I went to like the little pillar in the middle. It just makes it a little bit faster.
The tall one in the
Because-
middle.
No, the slowest one. In the middle.
Okay, so you can duck under projectiles.
Yeah, exactly. And so then you can just throw the axes up at him, and you can usually hit him with like 2 axes at once, and that made the fight much faster. And then whenever the second phase came on, I would just like get to the bottom left corner and just face tank and just throw axes. And that worked, but I figured that out after save stating before the boss fight because I didn't want to do that level again.
Yeah.
I never would have beat this game if I hadn't. Like,
Okay.
I did not want to play that level again. I think I got to him like 5 times, and I was like, no, fuck this. And I
Just a
died
little-
like at least like 50
Sorry.
more times, like before I. What were you gonna say, sorry?
I was just gonna say just a little tidbit in Castlevania 4. When you get to Dracula, even if you game over, it just starts you at Dracula.
That's the same in the first one, I'm pretty sure, right?
I don't remember, to be honest, but
I
I,
think
know
it
in
does.
Castlevania 4 that's how it works.
I'm pretty sure it did in the first one too.
That sounds
Um,
right.
And yeah, and that would have made the entire game way better if it had done that, but it didn't. I don't
I
know, man.
disagree only because phase 1 is of Dracula sucks so bad.
I mean, if you had infinite tries before him,
Maybe.
then I would have been like, well, whatever. Just try over and over again. It's not. It's the run
Yeah.
back that really pissed me off.
Just
I
because
got
it
pretty
takes
good
so
at it.
long.
That's fair.
I got pretty good at it too. I think I tried Dracula for like an hour and a half with throwing knives for the.
Oh,
It was
really?
pretty dumb. I tried every item except for the throwing axes, and then I was just like going crazy, and then I was like, I didn't try the axes, and then I beat him in about an hour. But yeah, the fight sucks. I don't like. I was so disappointed when I pulled up, and the gimmick this time is they're just dividing platforms with pits of death below.
I was like, it's gonna be, it's like that, isn't it? Okay.
You know immediately what's coming.
Son of a... or at the very least, put like little like breaking platforms that'll like break, if you
Yeah,
fall on them once or
yeah.
twice. Like, come on, dude,
Give me
Absolutely.
something.
Yeah.
give me something.
To me, it seems like Salt and Open Wound to give him so much health and then make it so you could die from one tiny mistake.
I don't think
Yeah.
I ever, not even like a single time, got to like half HP on that fight. Like it was either like 100% or fucking 0.
A lot of the bosses in this game take a lot of damage. They have hefty health bars.
You mentioned
Like
dying to. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, good.
Just completely going back. You talking about dying to a single mistake like that. That was something that was happening at the start of stage 2 when you're crossing that crumbling bridge with the
Mhm.
the fish people. That's the kind of difficulty. It just kind of I don't know. It's very rigid and it's like
So it's trial and error.
yeah,
Mm.
but
Yeah.
it's like sort of the reason I don't like Kaizo Mario levels. It's just
Right.
it expects you to do it this exact way, and that's
Right.
not very fun at all.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I didn't find there's like none of that in Castlevania 1, honestly, because like everything is it's a lot more flexible, but it's still
Yeah, no,
I'm
yeah.
not sure. I'm not sure.
I get what you're saying. As a counterpoint, I agree with you, but as a little just food for thought, back in the day, sequels were designed with the thought in mind that the player had played the others, so they become more difficult, and there's certain like tropes and mechanics that the devs expect you to already know about, and like certain strategies that like span across different games. Because I knew just the first time I ever played this game, when I got to that bridge section, I knew how to get past it pretty easily. You just throw a cross out in front of you and just walk forward. But I learned
Actually, yeah.
that from playing other Castlevanias.
Yeah,
If I would have gone to that part without playing other Castlevanias and employing similar strategies, I don't think I would have just known to do that right away.
I actually learned that from Goemon. I was like, I'm just gonna throw coins like in front of me so that no enemies can spawn, and it worked. I was like, yo, let's go.
We're
I mean, that
using
was
our knowledge.
my tactic, but it was very inconsistent. It was just not working for me. So I found that the most consistent thing to do was to just walk forward and not jump at all, pretty much, and ignore the candles, and then you can get through just by walking. I don't know. I was
Yeah.
kind of struggling
Yeah.
just doing the regular cross-link tactic. Do you think this game is harder than Castlevania 1? Like,
No,
okay,
I think it's more bullshit.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I think Castlevania 1 is more challenging, but also it's like a fair. It feels more fair, and like when you die in that game. Well, I don't know. I mean, like
It does, yeah.
there's parts of that game I will admit that's like, what the fuck? This is bullshit. But like, it feels more rewarding to overcome those parts in Castlevania 1. And this game is just like, I forgot I mentioned it earlier, that you just feel lucky when you get past a certain part. This game definitely has that, and I don't think Castlevania 1 has that. I think you learn intentionally, like, you make progress. And
Yeah, I was, like I said, I was playing it tonight, and I was on stage 5, and I was dying to death repeatedly, and I had to do the stage multiple times, but it was not frustrating at all. It was just, I was learning, and
Right.
adapting in it.
agreed. Yeah.
I love Castlevania 1. Let's just talk about Castlevania 1.
Maybe
I think that those who were very highly frustrated with this game, I suggest that you try other Castlevania titles, classic Castlevania titles, because I think this, like I said at the beginning of my intro, I think this is the worst classic Castlevania.
That's
And I
good to
don't think
hear.
it does justice to the series, because in my opinion, this is one of the all-time greatest series ever. Like, it's in my top 5 favorite video game franchises. But that's also including like Symphony of the Night and games like that, obviously. But like, I highly recommend, if you haven't like sat down and like really played Castlevania 4, I highly recommend it, because Castlevania 4 is literally one of my favorite games ever. I think it's a masterpiece.
I gotta
And,
say, I love that you are here as a Castlevania representative for context and like mechanical. Be like, oh, you can look at it this way too. It's really refreshing to hear that, and it's like, I liked Castlevania 4 when I played it. You watched the only time I ever played it. I streamed it a
Yeah.
little bit on Discord or whatever, and I had a great time. I didn't beat it or whatever, but I had a blast doing it. So I definitely agree. If you're like me and your exposure to this is this game and maybe one other, don't throw it all in the trash. Just throw
Yeah,
it in the trash.
absolutely. Try the others. Don't play the Game Boy ones. Those ones are bad.
What?
The original OG
yeah,
Game Boy.
I don't think he's
Castlevania
talking about the
games-
advanced ones.
No, no.
Yeah.
The Game Boy Advance ones are great. Those are great. The original Game Boy, there's 2 of them. Just go and don't play those. Just say that real quick.
Oh, I'm going to play them.
I like them personally, but no, don't. Nobody else will.
But no stop.
But I don't think anybody else will.
I'm just gonna, because we were just talking about Dracula. So I'd beaten this game before, and I had suffered through. I probably blocked it all out. I'd suffered through the annoyance of Dracula, but it was a long time ago. Like, it was when the fucking Wii Virtual Console was a thing, and I remembered I used the cross. I was like, I did something with the cross on here. So when I was playing, I was jumping around trying to hit him with the cross. I'm like, dude, this fucking like, I can't get the angle right. I keep jumping into him, or he does the quick meteors, and I go right in the fucking toilet, like straight death. And I'm like, how did I use the cross? And I was literally just fight going, standing on the middle platform, thinking, how did I use the cross? And as I was standing there thinking about it, it hit me. If you stand in the middle platform and he spawns on the higher of the further left or further right, and you jump and throw the cross, it hovers on him and hits him 4 times.
Whoa, cheater attack.
So I stood in the
Oh.
middle, waited for him to spawn there, and then when he spawned close, I would just whip him in the face or like the lower chin. And I was like, this is why I use the cross. And then phase 2, you just fucking fling those crosses, and he's so big, it just stays on him. So it was like, as soon as I remembered that, it was like over. But yeah, that fight fucking sucks. Like, I had to, like, that was a cheese. Like, it was a strat, but it was absolutely a cheese.
I felt like there
Yeah.
must have been a
You see the
gimmick I
shit the
was
werewolf
missing.
was just doing? That was bullshit. Sonic
What
the
you say,
Hedgehog
Chris?
around.
He had Magic Pixel for sure there.
Oh, I was just saying. I thought there might have been a gimmick I was missing with them because it gives you all the items to use. So I thought maybe like, do you hold on to Holy Water to phase 2 or something, and then use Item Crash or something like that? So I was trying to find like his one weakness, but all I could figure out was that the axes were pretty good, and the fight just sucks.
Yeah. Yeah, that, I mean, I guess that really just basically sums up the fight, right? Like,
Yeah.
it, like, you can do this strategy or that strategy, and it works fairly well, but in the end, it just sucks.
Yeah, there's nothing good. And it's funny, like you guys are gonna think I'm a masochist, but one of my notes is when I did the alternate path for the true ending, the 100%, I was disappointed that there was no phase 3 Dracula.
You are crazy.
Oh my god.
What's wrong with you? Why would
Because
you-
it changed, it made death, and I was like, all right, here comes Dracula phase 3, and then it was
See,
just
that's
over.
that's
I'm like, well,
gamer. That's 100 gamer
I
cred
kind
right
of
there.
agree actually, because Dracula Phase 2, he's all big and ripped, and you think he's gonna whoop your ass, and he does 2 things.
Yeah.
He's very
And they're
simple.
both pretty easy to avoid, too.
Yeah, it's only challenging because of the death pit, right? Other than that, he's like super obvious. It's just getting around it is tough. But I think I agree that a third phase that, you know, I didn't do any side paths or whatever, of course, but if you went through the trouble of, you know, saving the 2 ladies or whatever, I think that would have been cool.
So I think we're looking at the other stage that I was having a ton of trouble with. I spent, other than Dracula, I spent the most time on this stage. It's the floor before where you got all the purple guys, and there's the one gap where there's a purple guy across it, and you can't really get across. All I could figure out what to do was to get the axe, and so I had to go back and farm hearts pretty much, and I don't know, it was just super frustrating with this level. The boss was not as much of a problem as the
Oh, I
actual
wanna-
level itself.
Sorry, Chris. Real quick, watch Danny as he goes to the left here. Just he goes off screen.
Oh, I know. I want to talk
And-
about this
And then
too,
you're just in
dude.
a fucking hallway, and I'm like, what?
It's not
the
just
door.
the being in the hallway,
Yeah,
dude.
There's no
the,
door.
the beginning and ending of this level is so beautiful, and then you have this perpetual gray cement.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
room's not that pretty. I will admit it.
And it's like I think to me, and this is a total assumption, but I think to me this makes it super obvious that this is like a port. And I think I read online that, or not port, but like a remake. And I read online that they had like copyright issues, so they had to like, which is why they had to redo a lot of stuff, and thus the level design's all whack. I imagine that like, I don't know if it was like maybe the original team didn't work on this, but it's like this was painfully obvious that like nobody looked at this with any sort of sense of cohesion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The team, you can feel that the team that worked on it didn't have like chemistry.
And I
Like they were all
apologize for
working
cutting you off.
separately as individuals.
I hate these purple guys so much.
Yeah, they're random. Look, the way they go left and right, like you can't even bait them over to make that fight fair. You're just like, okay, I guess watch them and something happens that's fortunate for me.
I kind of,
Oh,
I
and
kind
then
of
he
like
gets
them, as weird as that is.
I
don't think
like
used to
them too.
fighting
I
it
like
was
them too.
okay. It's really just their placement, which we've talked about.
Yes, their placement is the problem.
I
Yeah,
find it kind of neat how much mileage they were able to get out. Like, I can stab you through the ceiling and the floor. Like, you can
Yeah.
get stabbed from every angle from like
Yeah,
that.
and
the
then
It's
most
so funny.
interesting enemy.
They have an
That's just
attack that
frustrating.
they very rarely do, where they just like kind of like poke forward a little bit. Most of
noticed-
the time
I
they're
noticed that.
spinning.
Be like, oh, now you stabbed me, yeah.
And you
Yeah,
can't
yeah.
react to that shit.
Well, one thing you can do with these guys is you can whip, and they will spin in reaction to your whip, and then they have recovery,
Mhm.
and then you can throw an item at them. Because
Yeah.
normally, if you throw an item at them, they spin and deflect it. But if you bait the spin with your whip, you can hit them with items, and that makes them a lot more manageable.
Or just use holy water.
I think it's in this
Or just holy
level.
water them. Yeah.
In this level, maybe like 2 or 3 screens from now, there's a gap that you actually have to jump across, and there's a purple guy guarding it. Danny's
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah,
one,
that's
yeah.
that's where you gotta use items, unless
So
you want to go
bad.
insane.
And
I
what
use the
Super
holy
was-
water.
What Super was saying about like pressing a button to make him block, and then on the end of the recovery from the block, you throw an item. Like I
Yep.
had to figure that out there, and I was like, okay, that's kind of cool. You know,
Mhm.
having to
Because
sort of,
that
like, figure
enemy
that
is
out.
from Rondo of Blood, and it behaves almost exactly the same.
I thought it was weird. There was
What's-
only like this room was the only place with them, or like this little area.
Oh, you're talking about the giant knights with the huge
Yeah.
swords? Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, those guys. Yeah, they're
I thought they were going to be way more dangerous than they are. They're
Where
kinda-
did those guys come
they're
from?
kind of stupid.
I've
They're
seen them
also-
in a yeah.
they're in Symphony of the Night, like the
Yeah, and I
exact
think
same enemy.
they're in
I've
the
seen them
GBA
so
games
many
too.
of them. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I just think I don't know the exact story behind the conception and development of this game, but it feels like they're like, all right, guys, we got to throw this on SNES. Like maybe there's a contract that they had to fulfill or something, and they just threw together a team. And they're like, do it, just do it, and they're like, okay, and yeah, and that was the result.
And then they did it.
One thing though that I forgot to mention earlier, this is, to my memory, the only Castlevania game where you can re-enter a previous room and there's certain candles that drop food and they respawn.
Yeah,
that was
I
huge.
think I
really?
do it right here.
Yeah.
I had to
There's
do it
like-
so many times here.
There's like, I would say 2 or 3 spots in this game where you can go back and get health as many times as you want. And speaking of going back into previous rooms, there's a spot on the last level where if you walk off screen, there's no wall, there's nothing. It's just
Mm.
Oh, I know
Yeah.
exactly what you're talking about.
you walk out and then you can't turn around and go back.
Yeah.
It's
Even
right
though
in front of
there's-
that snake, that big snake.
Yes, it is. That's
Yeah, that shit
exactly
was-
what I'm talking
That's
about.
some bullshit.
The best part is, you know, they did that and they were like, check out this secret. It's like, this thing fucking sucks. I don't want to be back here. It's like, yeah, but there's a candle that has food. And I'm like, what?
Yeah. It's
yeah,
funny.
then you lose all that health going back through the whole
Exactly.
fucking level.
If you come into that level with an axe, though, you can actually access that chicken.
So my first couple times through the level, I was actually using that path because I wanted to go grab the cross, because I thought that you needed the cross to cross the gap just before Dracula, because
Mhm.
I didn't realize that there was that potion, like I'm not sure what the term is, the potion that gives you invincibility,
Right.
and I didn't realize how to cross the gap otherwise, so I used the cross, so I had to like loop through the level twice every Dracula attempt. So that
Oh
was
my
really maddening
God.
until I eventually started speedrunning the level with the invincibility potion. Pretty
Yeah,
frustrating.
sounds like it. But then another thing about that particular screen transition that doesn't allow you to go back, that shaft, like where there's like pillars and purple guys and the platforms you get, and you have to ascend. There's another on the opposite side. There's an identical area where there's nothing blocking the edge of the screen, so it looks like you can walk, and you can. But guess what? You can fucking walk back into the fucking shaft.
Mm-hmm.
It's at the bottom of the section with the moving
That was
platforms.
bullshit.
And so you, in your mind, you're like, oh, okay, you can go back and forth. And then you go to the other door, and it's like, nope, can't go back. Why? Because fuck you. That's why.
Enjoy your trip back through the level, idiot. Oh.
Yeah. They're just like, to me, that seemed like it was an oversight. Or maybe, I don't know, maybe you're right, Danny, that they're like, oh, there's a candle there. Oh, like,
Yeah. Check out
maybe
this
that was their
secret.
reasoning. It's like, since we reward you with meat, you can't go back. It's like, fuck you.
I kind of think
No.
they were just like, it's all just very thoughtless. That's how I'd kind of describe the
Yeah,
level design.
that seems to be a common theme in this game.
Yeah.
Not a whole lot of thought was put into a lot of the design. They just took assets from Rondo of Blood and like existing physics and existing enemy AI and just threw it down and just splattered. And they're like, there you go, throw it on a cartridge.
I think there's some
Ship
good
it.
moments. There's just too many blunders. It feels like that.
No, there are good moments, I agree.
Yeah.
Like I said, I enjoyed the experience, but I'm biased.
I'm so mixed because like I love the aesthetic. I love the controls and like the actual mechanics. It's just I never want to play this game again because it's miserable.
For me, it's weird because I'm pretty critical of it, but it overall was a pretty good time.
Yeah, but
Maybe
you're a
Rondo
rare
of Blood
breed,
is where it's
Holden.
at.
You're a rare breed, my friend.
They called me a robot.
You're golden Holden.
With most of the games we've played, I have conceded at that, like, okay, maybe if I play this again, I will feel differently. And I will never feel differently about this game.
Never want to touch this game again.
You should play Rondo of Blood, though.
Yeah, it makes me want to play Rondo of Blood. It makes me want to play any other Castlevania game, just not this one.
Yeah.
That's a good thing. I've always been meaning to play more Castlevanias, and now I really want to play 1 through 3.
Yeah, I'm
And,
glad I got
Rondo.
this one out of the way, because if I hadn't beaten it, that would mean I'd have to come back to it and beat it. But now it's just checked off. And I
It's,
never have
it's
to revisit
gone.
it.
It can't hurt you again.
And I think you get gamer cred, as Holden would say, that you beat the game without using save states like little baby Darth and I.
Yeah, I played it on
Absolutely.
a Super Nintendo.
As in, we're both babies. Sorry, Darth. I didn't mean to say
No, that's okay. I understand.
because Dracula
No,
wasn't happy.
remember,
that guy.
if the game does not respect you, you do not owe the game respect.
Yeah, I was like, I'm not having any fun, and I only have so many hours on this planet to be alive, and I don't want to spend
That's correct.
anymore
Yeah.
going through that moving platform. I will be on my deathbed, and I'll be
Thinking
like,
about that platform.
why? I could have been playing anything else.
Like Counter-Strike.
Yes,
God.
exactly.
CS2, let's go.
Could have been playing fucking Faxanadu.
Exactly. Faxanadu 2. Faxanadu or.
You know what's funny?
mhm.
Sorry, go ahead. Dan.
No, you can go ahead.
I was gonna say like the 2 Castlevania games that we have on this list are
Are
like
some
2 of the
floppers.
lowest rated, most criticized, most hated Castlevania games in an otherwise like beloved series. Like
Let's put Castlevania 64 on there for good measure.
I was actually
I wanna play
thinking
that.
one of my
Lords of
entries
Shadow.
to a good Castlevania game because I feel like
Yeah, I
they're
might hate
kinda-
Castlevania if we play that one, like forever. I didn't even really love the first one very much.
If you
Yeah,
didn't like
I would just
Symphony of the
not be a
Night,
fan.
I would be disgusted with you.
If I what? Didn't
If you
like
didn't
Symphony
like
of the Night?
Symphony of the Night.
I have never played it, but
You
I
should, you should absolutely.
Well, what if we played on
that's
this?
a must play.
I've told you my opinion on that game, right, Holden?
I think you did, but I forgot. You must have been a lukewarm take.
It wasn't bad. I appreciate what it does. It just wasn't. I was like,
I think you said that you were used to the, like more advanced, more modern Metroidvanias like Hollow Knight, because like admittedly Hollow Knight does more.
Hollow Knight
than-
grabs a lot from that
category.
game, yeah.
Yeah.
No, yeah. I mean, that was like the first Metroidvania game, really. Symphony of the Night, that is. But like the genre's evolved, and
For
certain things, yeah. And that's I get it.
I don't.
But Symphony of the Night's one of my favorite games ever.
Yeah,
made.
it's a
Man, I should have done
fantastic
that
game.
for my long pick. What am I thinking?
Is it
No,
that long?
no spoilers on long pick. We're gonna reveal that after the
Okay,
spin.
okay.
Is that game that long though?
Think-
No, well, it depends.
I don't
'cause-
think most people would beat it under 8 hours their first play.
Yeah,
I guess,
'cause-
yeah.
And there's
You
also
could
the
get lost
upside down
pretty easy.
castle. Like if you
Yeah.
just
Whoa,
miss
whoa.
that, yeah. Talking about oversights, one thing I wanted to talk about, like it felt like why in the controls. Like I understand why sub weapons were the way they were with a 2-button controller, but why the fuck is sub weapon attack not a button on the controller in this? It's
Just
Yeah.
because it was a TurboGrafx game and they didn't bother.
it's
to-
programming
needlessly
was the same.
obnoxious to be hitting up and attack, especially while you're trying to jump and there's all the bullshit that you're dealing with. I'm like, if I could just hit a
Or if it
button.
doesn't register and a whip
Dude, same with
input
the
comes
stairs,
out.
dude. Like, I heard that in the last in number 4, you just hold the R button to go.
Press
on
R,
stairs.
yeah. No, you press R to throw your weapon.
Oh, there's none for stairs.
The stairs are the same in
Ah.
Castlevania 4.
I feel like there should be a button for being on the stairs and for throwing weapons.
No, you press R to throw your weapon at any point.
this staircase that Danny's on right now was really annoying because I wanted to use my weapon, but I couldn't use my weapon because it made me go up the fucking stairs and get hit by them.
That's what I'm saying.
And I was like, this is bad.
Like Chris said, was a TurboGrafx game, and the TurboGrafx controller has 2 buttons.
Yep.
And instead of taking a little effort as a fucking AAA professional development studio, I mean Konami was a fucking huge at the time, right?
Yeah.
They weren't this little fucking studio with a couple
made
guys
Contra
in a
3.
basement.
They did
they-
make Contra 3.
They just, the team that was working on this game decided, fuck it. We're not going to program it so
Minimal effort.
yeah, you can press R or whatever to throw your weapon. We're just going to keep it exactly like it was, even though you're playing on a Super Nintendo controller. There's triple the amount of buttons.
Yeah, it was great. That's all I can think of every time I had to throw something. I'm like, this is annoying. Like, let me hit a button.
I could see the argument that they were trying to make it play like the first game, but I also agree that it's pretty stupid. I think there's a lot of Super Nintendo games that don't make use of buttons when they probably could. So
Yeah.
a lot of them just didn't understand shoulder buttons. Like even Link to the Past is guilty of it.
Can I just be honest? Like maybe I don't really like fully understand like time, the era, but I feel like everything I've heard about, like especially around the time of the SNES, is people were always trying to like top stuff and do like the next best thing. It's new, you know, shiny coat of paint. I'm really surprised that in that era they would have been like, let's dumb things down.
Yeah, let's
You know what I mean?
wind it back.
That seems really strange to me. Almost like maybe that wasn't the case and they just got lazy. Gonna be honest.
I think a
You can
big
double
part of
so
that
when you
is,
compare
yeah.
it to Super Castlevania 4 too.
Yeah.
Like
It's-
why?
I think-
I don't really see them dumbing stuff down in that marketing era.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
Yeah,
And it's due to the laziness, like we said.
I need to play Rondo Blood now. Get to the bottom of this.
yeah, me too.
It's real.
It's so good.
Also play
It sort of
Bloodlines.
reminds-
Huh?
Play Bloodlines on the Genesis.
Oh, Bloodlines is
Yeah.
fucking awesome. That game's so good.
One of the 4 good Genesis games.
Oh,
shit.
I just had to come in with that one.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That one's often overlooked. A lot of people don't even know about that game.
Are you dissing Golden Axe?
Yes.
Yes.
Good.
Okay, Sonic and Knuckles is pretty good.
Yeah, that game is sick as fuck.
Genesis has plenty of good games. Just compared to the SNES, it works.
Yeah, when's Green Dog?
And the sound chip's kind of fire. I like it.
Yeah,
Oh.
if you like robot farts. Ooh.
Yeah. You have backwards ears.
Speaking of
Man,
the
robot
music, for me,
farts are cool.
one of
Go
my bigger, I don't actually know how previous Castlevania games did it because, like I said, I only really played the first one. But there's reused themes in this one. That's
Yes.
kind of, that bums me out a bit because the quality of the music is so kick-ass. To hear that they just have like vampire, what's it called?
Vampire Hunter.
That-
and-
Hunter, and then Barkerville.
That's
Yeah.
consistent throughout the whole
Y-
series, actually.
yeah, like, they're
they use the
staples.
same songs.
Okay.
Yeah, they're classics. Like
Yeah.
they're fan
But
favorites.
not every track, right?
No, I don't
no,
think every
not
track
every
is
track.
used.
There are some like
Yeah.
throwaway tracks. I won't call them throwaway, but tracks that are like just exclusive to certain games. But then there are certain tracks like Vampire Killer, Bloody Tears, that are in every game.
Okay.
They show
yeah.
up in every game.
Mm-hmm. They show up in the
Well, I
Because
anime.
I think one of the things that I appreciate about series like Mega Man is just that the constant stream of new original music and
Right.
quality music in every game. I
Yeah.
really appreciate that more than falling back to.
I mean, you do
standards.
have stuff like Proto Man's theme. Like,
Sure.
and then in
there's-
X, like you have Zero's theme. Like they have their bread and the butter.
Yeah, every game has its signature stuff, right?
Also, this game, I will point out, like, I even put the names down. I looked them up because I liked them. The Stage 1 theme, which is called Bloodlines, hilariously enough.
Yeah, that's it.
And Stage 5, which is called Opus 13. Don't ask me. Here, I have the
Yeah.
video up.
I'm not a composer.
I'm gonna skip
I'm gonna play
to
that
it.
right now on YouTube so I can.
Yeah, well, yeah, I'm playing it for everybody listening. It started, and I was like, wait a minute. I was like, it's pretty good. And I tried to look up to see if it was in any other Castlevania, and it's not. And I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, this one like gave me Monster Mash vibes.
Yeah, I was digging on this one because it just like it's good throughout. But yeah, this game we said it a bunch has fantastic music.
Yeah, I
The
think
fidelity-
every
and-
song is good.
And it's got the
Mhm.
classics. It's got Vampire Hunter, Barkerville, like Chris was talking. Oh, Bloody Tears, as other people may call it. It's the
When
theme of the
when I first
werewolf.
heard Bloody Tears, I was like, okay, all right, I'm enjoying this particular moment
Yeah,
because of the
th-
song. Only
This
the
is Castlevania.
I only enjoyed it for a second.
Yeah, I don't want to
thing,
say
though-
that to just seem like I'm shitting on it just because it's reused. It's just I kind of I wasn't sure if it was just something this game was doing or if every Castlevania game does it. Like I understand, obviously, they're
Yeah, there's
classic
a handful of
themes that you
songs
reuse.
that,
Yeah.
that are in all of them. But to be fair, when they appear in different games, they are, it's not entirely exactly the same. They have differences, they're remixes,
Mm-hmm.
so to speak.
Rearrangements.
Yeah, rearrangements.
Since we're talking like through the music, how many people, like how many of you guys did stage, like alternate stage 5, like the top path stage 5?
I did not.
I didn't. That was a B word. I'm gonna be honest.
Did not.
Nah, once was enough for me.
I
did
think
it back in the day, so I was like, nah, I'm not doing that again.
oh, that's like herein is the rub. I think that was one of the best looking stages, which sucks because it's like it was so fucking obnoxious to get to, because you
Yeah.
needed to take the high path on stage 3 and then you needed to get through stage 4 alternate with the key. So you had to go through hell, but it had probably the coolest stage design, like maybe like second to the first stage. And the boss was really cool. Like he was a sea monster that was like segmented, and like the backdrop was this waterfall. Like it was really cool. And I'm like, why the hell is like nobody gonna see this? Like
Yeah.
like they put all this work into this one that didn't get seen. And then in my head, like just now when Super you were saying it's easier to do the key stuff in Rondo, I bet that's why. It was like, here's your bonus. Like you did the bonus thing that wasn't a total pain in the ass, and you got a cool stage for it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, the alternate in stage one. Well, no, you know what? No, I'm not gonna say because people are gonna play Rondo, maybe. So I won't.
Absolutely.
I was gonna spoil something, but I won't do it.
no spoilers.
All right, so do we want to have our closing thoughts and our obligatory rating?
Yes, but I feel like whereas Colin ended us, I want Colin to start us and see if
I
like,
agree.
all of our opinions and our discussion has changed anything, because I'm thinking that it did not.
It did not. It maybe softened a few things here and there, but no. I still maintain that this game is objectively and certainly subjectively worse than Croc. Not that
It
that's a
all
benchmark.
comes back to Croc every
It does.
time.
Not that
That's
a
the
benchmark,
source
but
of
that's
this.
just
Hard
sort
to
of
beat.
like-
Hard to beat a good. What was that, an 8?
That's just sort of fun. I do think, and this is no, I do want to play Rondo of Blood because I don't think it's really fair to play this and not that. If you really want the true experience of this game, it seems like. So, this I guess maybe an asterisk on the score, but I don't see how I could give this any higher than like a 4.5.
That's fair.
And that's I'm really trying to be generous. I earlier talking with Rachel today, I was like, I want to give this a 3.
Don't be generous, dude. Give it what you want to give it.
Yeah, like call it as it is.
Well, then it's okay. We'll give it a 4.
Alright.
For all the things we've talked about, I'm not gonna rehash it because I think it's funny in my intro. I pretty much said my piece, and then throughout, we elaborated on certain things like the movement being stiff is fine if the game design is good, which it's not. The level design, that sort of thing, the enemy placement is just awful, just tedious, mindless a lot of the times. Felt like it's like an AI generated Castlevania.
That's a good way to put it.
And then like the lack of cohesion visually as well as level layout wise. And I'm not saying like all the levels are like that, but particularly that one instance I pointed out where you go left and then you're just like in a hallway. And how did I get in this hallway? I don't fucking know. I'm just in a hallway. Like if I was playing another game with that, like I feel like the linear narrative experience of Castlevania is like, I'm invading Dracula's bullshit and there's no cohesion. There's no way to keep like I don't feel like I'm progressing by going into this dumb hallway. Anyway, all that aside, I think that's the score it deserves, being a 4. But I certainly appreciate that other people might enjoy it more. Again, I really enjoyed having Super's context for the series, as well as being a fan of the series, big fan of the series. It helped to steer the conversation in some helpful ways. So I also just I'm still stunned that they did what they did with the controls 4 years after Castlevania 4. I understand it's a different vision, but also I think Darth made a good point that I do think it was the era where everything was trying to be better than the other, including previous iterations of the same company's games, you know? And to take away movement options, in addition to this being sort of a hack job itself. So Danny just jumped on top of those guys. I didn't know you could do that.
That was cool.
Yes, you
Yeah.
can.
Anyway, that's kind of it. Sorry for rambling.
No. That was. I enjoy hearing everybody's take. You're not rambling.
All right, now that
Well
that
played,
guy's done
Colin.
rambling, who wants to go? I felt like a badass skipping that in that screen right there on that
Yeah,
rock.
and they came away with
I
a
didn't know you
sliver.
could do that, so that was cool.
I'll go
Badass.
next because I feel like my wrap up will be shorter.
Mhm.
I'm gonna start out with my score and then I'll explain it. I'd give this game a 6, just above, halfway 5, because and that one point is because I'm biased. If I wasn't a huge mega fan of this series, I'd probably give it a lower score. For me, when I grew up, I played 1, I played 4, I played 3, and I didn't play this game until much, much later, like emulation days, because I honestly didn't even know it existed. And that was probably for the better, to be honest. So when I came to this game, in my mind, I was already like, fuck yeah, Castlevania, let's go. And that just, I guess, put a blind spot on my ability to be critical and objective when it comes to certain things in this game. Not when it comes to being able to discuss it, but when it comes to my overall enjoyment of it. That's really all I have to say. I've said everything else. And I will state it once again because I can't stress it enough. Play other Castlevanias, please, if you hated this game. Because this is not a representative of the quality that Castlevania is. Holy shit, you got flung backwards. God.
Oh yeah, that was I had a Colin moment right there when that guy was just standing at the thing and I had to cross and I couldn't make him move. I was like, well, I guess I'll go through him, and he did that shit where he threw me backwards, and I was like, well, you even see me stand still in the gameplay because I'm like, what the fuck?
You just have to put your hand on your forehead and be like, I'm gonna do this.
That was the exact moment that reminded me of the Faxanadu tree ladder. That exact staircase was where I was like, fuck this.
Also, this part
that's
right
all
here,
I
the
really
gears,
gotta say.
when you jump on that and you're in the jump lag, like the landing lag, and
Dude,
if
you
you're
cannot jump on that gear.
yeah, if you're too far, if you land in the center, you just fall off and die. I'm like, this is great.
Yeah, I forgot to say, I wanted to say a whole thing about those gears. They suck, and they didn't make any sense. And they made me appreciate the Goemon weird moving areas, because they made sense visually, and these ones didn't at all.
I think that's
Very
also slightly due to the fact that the gears are just a flat fucking color. They're not,
Yeah.
there's no
Exactly,
texture.
there's nothing going on.
The first time you got to the gears, I was surprised when I landed on it. I was like, oh,
I was too.
that's the thing.
I was
That-
like,
that
wait,
says all.
why they show the top gears? You can see the angle at the top, it's kind of skewed toward the viewer.
Mm-hmm.
It's slightly
lighting
rotated.
Yeah, there's
and
lighting
then-
from top left.
Yeah, so it's that's why you can stand only on the top 70% of it.
Right.
Just kind of
30.
silly.
30%, I would say. I'll
yeah,
go
that's-
next.
That's my take. Go ahead.
Sorry, wait, did you want to say anything else?
No, I was just saying that's basically all I have to say.
Wait, what? You gave it a 6.
Oh yeah, a 6.
Yeah. Yeah. So, like the game for me, I was pretty much having a really good time with it. And then I got super frustrated, and like I said, there was just all these little parts of it that I found kind of like ruined the experience for me. A lot of the later levels and the enemy placements and just the boss runbacks. If I had had to run back Dracula, I never would have beat the game. I would have just thrown it in the dumpster. I think pretty much the only thing that saves the game is like the music, and some of the areas, some of the bosses. Yeah, straight up. And it's pretty much exactly what Colin said, where you just keep getting frustrated over and over again. And I would have to give the game like a 4. I think it was pretty much not fun, and like past those levels. And I think if I went back and play the game again, it would like retroactively ruin the rest of the game, because I wouldn't. I felt like cool guy, badass, getting through the first couple levels. Only a few tries. But looking back now, I'm just like, that's because like I don't know, it was a bit more fair. There's less bull crap, And it just sucks because there were some really cool boss fights. I actually did just look up what that level area like looks like that Danny was just talking about. It does look pretty awesome.
Yeah, it sucks that it's like so locked away.
What's the numbering called? Sorry.
Level
Like
5.
Okay, it is 5.
Mm-hmm.
The like in the game, it has like a little
It's like a
apostrophe.
yeah, it's an apostrophe, which is weird.
Yeah, those are the alternate levels, the ones with the apostrophes.
Yeah, and I think especially just like learning, like, especially like the background of like the old games and like what, how advanced the last one was, and then how much of a step back this was. And also, you guys pointed out some stuff about like the backgrounds that I totally didn't notice. Some of them are really scuffed. There were ones that I didn't really remember, but that was one of the things I liked about the game, but I realized it's actually not even as good as I thought. So yeah, I'm gonna give it a 4. And it's not even like there's much to say about why I don't like it. It's just freaking annoying. Pissed me off more than anything.
My brother.
Yeah. That is
Cool.
it.
Chris or Holden?
Fight.
Alright,
fight.
I'll go.
Fight,
my
kiss.
score is like just going all over the place right now. Yeah, I mean, oh god, I don't know what to say. The game, I had such little friction compared to you guys, but I also had such conflicting thoughts on it. The entire experience, where so much of it, especially in hindsight, I realize is the novelty. Like your unfortunate explanation of the game's first level, Donnie, being 1 foot forward, as you said, like, or putting all of it in the first step.
Yeah,
The
its fruit in
first
one
level,
basket.
like, yeah, I remember seeing YouTube footage of it like a year ago and being like, dude, I gotta play this one next. And
Yeah, I
then
agree.
playing it and being like, this was yeah, I don't know, I was expecting the quality of the first level throughout the full game, but that being
Counter-Blow.
said, I still enjoyed it, and I didn't find the design to be super conflicting. It was more so like various moments of I don't want to say brain dead design, but like not as good design that really dragged it down, because there are definitely thoughtful moments. But anyway, I give the game a somewhat generous 6.5 out of 10.
Cool.
Damn. Okay.
All right, I'll go. So, kind of covered it, but I think this game has good fundamental mechanics, just let down by some terrible, terrible design. Sort of like, how Majora's Mask is kind of a shit game carried by how good Ocarina of Time is. I feel like
Completely
that's,
shit game carried by.
Yeah, I feel like that's.
I'm gonna cry.
I quit the book club.
It's over. Everybody leave.
Yeah,
crapped
like
on
it-
Danny's game. It's only fair.
just because it's like it feels like a really good Castlevania game. It's just that there's too much fuckery with the design. I think it's got objectively great music. I think I did a poor job articulating that point earlier when I was bitching about the reused themes, but like the music is incredible. It's nice to hear from our resident Castlevania expert that this game is dumpster trash in comparison to the others, because Castlevania is definitely near the top of my list of series I want to fully explore, and I'm really looking forward to playing 3 and 4 and Rondo of Blood in particular. I give this game a big stinking Dracula fight out of 10.
Very
Sounds
fitting.
about right.
Holden, I have a question for you specifically.
Can I also add one thing on that I forgot to say? So yeah, ask your question.
No. You go ahead and I'll ask.
I just want to say, I also feel like some of the letdown was just expecting the full Konami of this era quality, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like viewed as like a game, if I didn't know who the hell made it or that it was Castlevania, that's kind of where my scores derive from.
That's a good point. That's a very good point because the Konami of this era was known for premium AAA top-notch quality.
I
Like
had the thought that it was like, this is where it all went wrong.
the Legend of the Mystical Ninja.
This
How
was
could they top
Kojima's
that?
first game.
Yeah, I agree. That factored into like my disappointment with the game. Yeah.
Right. What
Could
were
you
you gonna ask, Colin?
I was gonna ask because I always, in one of my favorite parts of the book club discussion is hearing your perspective on, I guess, game design in general, of the game we're playing, but also specific moments that caught your attention or caught your eye as someone with game design experience. So I'm just curious if there's anything else that occurred to you didn't get a chance to say, because I really appreciate that insight.
I wish I gotta start like truly documenting specific moments because that's where I can talk specifics. But
Sure.
no, nothing like any general overarching things.
Well, like
Nothing
even-
like that.
Even on the gears here, you mentioned like you can see the lighting is different. I hadn't appreciated that, and that makes it maybe a little bit easier to understand that, like, oh, I'm supposed to jump there. So I thought that was good, a good tidbit.
Yeah, well, I guess that it's funny because I was kind of like memeing talking about the gears because I'm always like, dude, more games need gears and cranks, man. More games need them. But like that was something I noticed right away, and then noticed like, oh, you can collide with the top of them, right? Like, it's unfortunate because they put so much effort into those gears just for basically all of us to be like, what, you can step on them? Oh, I slide off. This collision sucks. So seeing stuff like that is like,
To be
I
fair,
see
they just literally just took the gears out of Rondo and plopped them. in.
yeah, and
Yeah.
that is the ultimately the explanation. But
It feels like they have
for
the most
new stuff
complex
like
lighting.
that, all sorts of questions are popping up around that, right? Like, or even Danny talking about this level you're not going to see. Like, okay, a port makes sense because that is an egregious way to spend your money, a giant level that no one's going to see, right? Yep. No, there's just kind of always general vague topics like that floating around that are not always easy to get around to, you know?
For sure, yeah.
Ooh, cool. Is it time to spin that wheel?
No, I gotta give you my take. Also, there's a question I want to
Oh,
ask.
sorry, I forgot.
Wow.
What was? Yeah, it's okay, Darth. I'll get over it. What was everybody's favorite sub weapon? We went through this for Contra, kind of, and so this is
True.
another Konami joint. Definitely the cross, 100% for me.
Yeah,
Yeah, I use cross most.
there's
I like
like
that. But
Go ahead.
is this the first Castlevania to have the fan of knives for the knife?
you mean
like
the
having
3
three?
knives that you throw
Yeah.
instead of 1? Yes.
Yeah, I like that. That was a nice change.
I think they did that because the knife is like, it doesn't have a big hitbox.
Yeah.
If it's just one knife. But yeah.
I-
For me, I use the cross pretty much exclusively. And then there's like a few little moments where I use the holy water. And that's about it.
I used the knife for most of the game, but that's because you guys know this from listening to me play the other games. Like, I don't use magic. I just try to get by with like the basic mechanics because it's more fun for me that way.
Mhm.
So not putting much thought into it, and watching now, going back and watching Danny play, I'm like, damn, the cross buffs. I should have used the cross. So I think I use the knife, and I like the knife because it's super fast, and I like that it's just a nice straight hitbox. And of course, now it's a fan. That's great too. It's even better coverage, but the cross also really puts in a lot of work.
I'm gonna give a shout out to Holy Water, just because it
Yeah, Holy Water was good sometimes.
got me past those purple fuckers.
Yeah, holy water can't be deflected. It's the only weapon.
I preferred the axe because it allowed me to attack in a new direction.
Yeah, not being able to whip up the axe definitely
And there's so
filled a
many,
big role there.
so many annoying vertical parts. Like, although I'll be honest, a lot of the time I find myself without axe when it would have been most useful.
I agree.
So it was like, usually I use the cross because the axe I found was just much rarer. But still, I prefer the axe.
Now that we're talking about weapons, I forgot to mention this earlier. Sorry.
Mhm.
One nice thing this game does, when you pick up another weapon, your old weapon falls out, and you can
Yeah.
Yes, I have a
reacquire it.
note about that
huge.
that says
Yeah,
it
me too.
replaces it, or like it drops instead of replacing it. So you don't hit a
Yeah.
torch and lose your weapon. You're like, oh fuck.
Yeah, unfortunately, Castlevania 4, and 1, if you pick up another weapon, your old one's gone.
Yeah, that was fucking me up today when I was playing the first one. I was like carrying Holy Water through the entire level, and I accidentally get the pocket watch.
Yeah. And in Bloodlines, this cool little tidbit, the candles that have weapons look different than the candles that have the ammunition parts.
That's cool.
Yeah, so you know which candles have weapons.
Bar.
Dogs.
That would have been nice.
They're pumps.
These dogs are pumped for bloodlines. But yeah, to give my closing, like we've kind of said it. Like I feel like I'm in the camp of Super. I really love Castlevania. Like they're really classic video games. Like
Video game is video games.
like here's your setting. There's a Dracula. You're a vampire killer. Here's his castle. Go get him. And like Colin was saying, sometimes it doesn't say cohesive, like the most cohesive. It's not as exciting, like, which is absolutely true. Like, especially if this is some kind of like half-baked port job of the Rondo of Blood TurboGrafx PC Engine version. But it's still like in design where the video game portion of it was playable, and it was kind of fun. Like it was the right amount of challenge up until it wasn't, and then it was just obnoxious. So it was an enjoyable experience. It's like I like a little bit of frustration, like because I like to prove, like this is because I'm sick in the head, that no matter how bullshit the game can be, I can out bullshit it. Like I'm gonna figure it out. I'm Dracula. You're gonna have to get cheesed by
Yeah,
this
where's
cross.
Dracula Part 3? Huh?
Yeah, Dracula Part 3 when? And that's why I would have probably given this like a 5, but I did 2 playthroughs because I wanted to know what the fuck was up with that alternate path. And while it was equally as frustrating, it was also satisfying to experience like what it offered. And actually I can put it up on the stream. This is what you get. That's your credits picture when you get the 100% ending. Like you get Annette hugging up on Richter and Marie like, ooh, what's going on there? Yeah, so it's like that's not a great reward, but it kind of gives you something, and it's like, you know what? The real reward is pretty much the death fight and how cool Stage 5 is, and that bumped this game up, like just that it had, because if it was the hard path, I like that there was a hard path. Like Star Fox kind of gives you that. It's like you can beat it, but here's your path. And sometimes it's fucked up. This game was an example of it was fucked up. But I enjoyed that it brought the heat because it was more challenging in a less like completely tedious bullshit way than stage 6 and 7. So it skewed my enjoyment, just that there was that extra bit that it offered. So it bumped it up from a 5 out of 10 to where I'd rest a 6 out of 10.
So it seems that there's a general consensus here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's mid AF. It's about a 5.
Yeah.
That's how it rated at the time.
Yeah.
Seems like
Yeah, it was like 44, 50%. Like,
Danny, where you might have said this in the beginning, but what was the game out of 10? Would you say when you first played it,
oh, like
or at least like your memory of the game?
when I played it on the Wii U,
Mm-hmm.
probably like similar, like 6 out of 10.
Yeah.
Because I had less experience with Castlevania at that point. I think the only other Castlevania I had played at that point was Symphony of the Night. So to me, this fit the image of what I thought like an old Castlevania was.
Yeah.
Because it felt like because I think I played this and then I was like, I should check out more of these games. And I went back and played Castlevania 1 and it felt like this. And I was like, yep, Castlevania.
Yeah.
And then I played stuff like Super Castlevania 4, then I played Bloodlines, and then later on played the GBA versions, and some guy asked me, hey, I was doing pixel art, and this game looks great.
Yeah, isn't it crazy? It already came full circle.
Yep.
I'm gonna cry.
I'm getting emotional, Chris. Quick, rattle the papers, distract me. Oh, thank you. Okay, I'm grounded.
I'm looking at my games for this year, and I'm trying to place it, and I don't know if I would actually prefer this game to both Croc and Fazanadu. I don't know. I think I might.
Croc was way better than this game. Way better.
Those bosses, though.
The bosses, honestly, if you combine all
dude.
the quality of bosses from Croc,
No,
game?
I gave this
No.
game half a point higher than Croc, and yeah, it adds up. When I think back to those Croc bosses, those
the bosses aren't the fun part of Croc.
What's the fun?
What
part?
was the fun?
Oh.
Wow.
where you're playing as a dinosaur and he's cute.
Yeah, dude. I don't know. I don't know. I think that the platforming. I think the
Chris
platforming
Flat.
was more fun. Croc.
He did have one
Croc's
snaggletooth
okay.
that was pretty adorable.
Croc's okay, and this is kind of okay.
Look,
Dracula
I didn't
is
beat
kind of
Croc, so I rated it higher than I should have, and now I gotta stand by my rating
Yeah,
and
yeah.
defend it.
There's multiple
adamantly.
people. I rated Croc higher than I should have.
I feel like
It's my condolence.
Croc
It
is
crashed my entire computer.
our somewhat kind of yeah, it literally killed Dart's computer.
Killed my graphics card. It was just too strong. It went curse splat.
Fun fact: in Europe, this game is called Vampire's Kiss.
Yes, I did see that.
I would have played
And
it way sooner.
It runs even slower.
Oh, yeah,
50
because
rates.
yeah.
55
Imagine
minutes.
that.
Ooh. That's a really weird thing. Like, did people play US versions or NTSC versions from PAL and be like, wow, our games just kind of suck? Like,
Have you seen like Super Mario Bros. Running at 50 hertz? It's absolutely cursed.
I don't think I can handle that.
Yeah, that was an unfortunate time in gaming history for our friends in Europe.
It's okay. They got better. I think.
I think it
Yeah.
still sucks. Don't they get things late?
Well, I mean, I'm talking about like literally the way the game.
Yeah,
runs.
literally just getting shit games. Not even
Yeah.
late. Well, late and shit. Yeah, that's pretty bad.
So here we managed to get to me getting to Dracula, and I'll give a little bit of backstory to me doing Dracula here.
You did this in your first sit-in.
No, yes, I did do this in my first sitting. However, this video cuts. Oh my god, this video cuts before I beat him because this was one
Did that
sitting.
plop?
This was me
Convenient.
beating the game, so I got reset there, and I was like, okay, I'll get back to Dracula, and I went down the hole like 3 more times. I was like, that's it, I'm making dinner. And then I came back and had my epiphany about standing in the center. So I did not beat him in the gameplay footage. But I beat him. I
got
think
to
I
the last
literally
level,
beat
though.
him
That's
like
pretty
20
good.
minutes later. Fucking Dracula. But yeah, I feel like we needed a game like this where like it was, because I feel like the ones that some of us hadn't liked, maybe Fexana do, like it was leaning towards negative, but we needed one where there was some vitriol, and I feel like this game Definitely caught some flack, some well-deserved flack. Fucking
Caught some
Dracula.
flack, but wasn't that polarizing.
Yeah.
Yeah, because everyone hated it.
It's not the Castlevania game I expected that from though.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
with a name like Dracula X, I expected this shit to be like cash. It was not.
Just wait till we get to Simon's Quest.
Oh,
I
speaking,
know what I'm
We're
getting
gonna
myself
love
into.
that.
speaking of getting to Simon's Quest, you guys know what time it is.
The
Wheel time.
It's the wheel time.
Dude, I can't wait to spin the wheel.
Remember, delay a reaction.
Yeah, I will not hashtag
I'm
react.
just gonna straight up mute myself.
I mean, you guys see it at the right time. I just see it early. Oh, those are my notes. I'm gonna show my notes.
I
to the
will not
stream.
react.
Okay, what the heck's going on here, OBS?
You know what's
Why-
cool with the snake while it's still on the screen? You can see the fire coming through its neck before it.
Yeah.
It's
shoots.
pretty cool.
Yeah, I thought that was dope. I could still
I
never
only
fucking
noticed
dodge
that,
it.
like watching Danny play this here.
Alright, sorry, you won't be able to watch me play it here, but here we go. Now, so this list is everybody's picks again. However, -1 each. So everybody's back on the table to have the chance at getting their game picks. So, ladies and gentlemen, here we go.
What is Dr. Chaos?
I actually just switched that one out for Mega Man 2.
Wait, what?
Dang it!
I didn't
played
want to
that
play
game.
it, dude. After playing
I
this game, I was
wanted all
like,
you
anyways,
guys have to suffer from Dr. Chaos. Oh, that's nice.
That is nice.
It's another game I've been meaning to play.
That's a Colin joint.
So
I
was
don't
was
even-
really hoping we
Pokemon.
would get this game.
I don't know anything about
This-
this one actually.
This
This is
is the sequel to Soul Blazer,
This is a
Right,
game.
which is also on the list.
Oh,
This
we
is an
gotta do
RPG.
Soul Blazer first then.
So
Well-
I need to say this
Okay.
game is on the upper end and maybe a little bit longer than the limit of what we set. So do not
Dude.
procrastinate.
Okay.
Imagine
Chris.
procrastinating.
And,
What?
and me, I'm bad at this. game.
Yeah.
I appreciated that it was Colin saying to not procrastinate because I
Yeah,
knew who
I
he was
mean-
coming at.
I'm coming at myself,
Yeah.
What the heck?
and I say that as I love this game. I've played it a few times. It's just a little longer.
Yeah, it
maybe,
is.
Maybe like 10.
Yeah, it's
It's not
it's
terrible.
not too far off, but it is definitely a video game because now officially we can share no opinions on it. Know what else we can't share opinions on? So before we convened a little early to pick what we're going to call long video game book club video game, where we have until the end of the year to play. So it's a little bit of a longer game, and we went through a very fierce debate. It wasn't very fierce, but it
Yeah, I
got a
made
little.
a PowerPoint.
I
It
cried.
it got a little heavy near the end, and Chris
It
Chris
does.
almost threw a wrench in the whole thing.
Super Disturb
Um,
died.
Where we each had some suggestions, 1 to 2. We voted on what we wanted. Of the ones that had the most votes, we had a discussion as to which one we wanted to play, and we ended on Super's pick. Super, what was your choice?
Star Wars: Knights of the Old Republic.
That's right.
Oh,
Literally
yeah.
a classic. Like I feel like this game gets brought up so much. Like it's now we can't say anything about it, but
What,
it
wa-
is
what was the runner-up?
Vagrant Story.
Yeah, Vagrant Story for the honorable
And
mention.
my pick, Dark Cloud, got 1 vote. Thank you, Super.
I almost voted
I
for it.
forgot that it was on there. I might have voted for it otherwise.
But yes,
Don't
that
say that now.
don't say that.
No, we have to play it for Danny. We can't make him feel left out.
Maybe next year. Maybe next year. Yeah, this was my first pick game, and everybody hated it. So you know what? I'm feeling. I see how it is. No.
I know. I'm only picking good games after this.
Yeah, I know. The heat might be too real. But another successful session. This one is especially spicy. Just because I feel like it came from a beloved series, and like Super let us know, it might not be the best foot
Yeah, I've never
forward
seen Colin so angry.
for the series.
It's only because it's so pent up for like I played this very soon after we picked it. Like the next day I was playing this game. Pretty much. And already I was like, I hate this, and I couldn't talk about it. I just wanted to talk about it. I couldn't talk about it.
Well, look forward to not being able to talk about Illusion of Gaia when we get back here together in a proper month. This one was a little bit quicker to share our opinions. Maybe positive, maybe negative. But as always, Colin, Super, Holden, Chris, Darth. So much fun. Always enjoy hanging out with you guys and
Hell
talking
yeah.
about doinked-ass video games, or maybe slightly less doinked-ass video games. But until next month, we'll see everybody later, and thanks for joining us.
Good night, everybody.
Yeah, thanks
Peace.
as always, guys.
Everybody watching along at home, always a pleasure hanging out with you as well. Hope to see you next time for episode 7, Seriously Casual, Illusion of Gaia. Beep boop.